Hi and welcome to Drum Ape. In this video I want to share with you a basic technical exercise for the drum set which involves using toms extensively. It is a great place to start if you want to learn to smoothly incorporate toms into your playing without breaking the groove. It is a 4-note linear exercise, meaning there are no overlapping hits, at least not in the beginning, and is the first mode of what I call 3 against 1, meaning 3 in the hands, 1 in the feet. First mode because the hit in the feet occurs on position 1. We start by defining the sticking as single stroke row. Because of the nature of single stroke row, odd numbered phrases will change the leading hand, so we want to cover both directions. The sticking then becomes a symmetrical twofold phrase. We start in the simplest way with just a snare, a kick and the hi-hat. In the beginning we want to make sure that all the hits are pulled up to the same height. Experiment with different dynamic levels at medium speeds until you get used to it. Play with either right foot or left foot against the snare. You can also play in a rotational manner, substituting every other kick with hi-hat with the left foot, and thus creating a phrase twice as long. This feels more natural and also addresses both sides of the body. You can expand further by forcing a wide paradiddle pattern in the 2 feet to get this. However, this is still 3-way coordination, as at any given moment there are 3 limbs opposing each other. The best way to approach 4-way coordination is to add a meter against the occurring 3-way line. Let's keep it simple and play the line in the context of a 2/4 measure. We adjust the subdivision to 16th notes and now both directions fit into the measure of 2/4. There's a few ways to apply the hi-hat as a meter. One would be to play the 8th notes positions 1 and 3, and the other to play the hi-hat only on position 1. Playing only the quarter note with the hi-hat will grant you faster speeds, and it won't be that hard since the hi-hat part and the kick part are both on position 1, or in other words in unison. So we're going to play the hi-hat on every other quarter note, in this way laying down the foundations for the jazz feel in which the hi-hat occurs on 2 and 4 in a 4/4 measure. By positioning the hi-hat in this way, it would actually matter which leading hand you choose, so make sure you explore both directions. Now that we've created the overall structure, it is time to make some tonal variations by adding the toms into the mix. Before we start, we're going to apply a simple rule. We hit the toms with the corresponding hand. If it's a right hand hit, we play on the floor tone. If it is a left hit, we play on the small tone. We are going to use this rule throughout the variations, but feel free to experiment and change up as long as you can keep the symmetry. The first thing we're going to try is to engage both toms, so we play them on positions 2 and 3, leaving the snare on position 4. This is a bit tricky at faster tempos since you have to pull inward toward the snare to get that hit in place, so it takes a bit of patience. In the beginning you might find it is easier when you play both the kick and the hi-hat together. This will help with smoothing out the line since it is easier to hear the 1. The other way to engage both toms in this scenario will be playing the snare on position 2 while having the toms on positions 3 and 4. Make sure you play all the hits in a steady fashion and not lose precision for the tom hits. Next, we're going to try placing all the hits in the lead hand on a tom. This means the lead hand always occupies both offbeat 16ths, creating a perfect counter rhythm to the downbeat 8ths in the kick and the snare. This actually makes for a pretty cool beat and also happens to be the basic ska pattern if played on the hi-hat with only the right lead hand. Granted that this is not how you would play ska music, more like this. This simple pattern satisfies the general pulsation of the style and can easily be used to play along with music. If you invert this, all the offbeat 16ths occur on the snare now, and the backbeat is transported to the toms. Play these long enough at medium tempo until you start to get used to it, and then try to play around with dynamic levels and dynamic ranges. This will give more depth and dimensionality to your sound, and most grooves can be enhanced greatly with the proper dynamics. Let's now try to play a tom on position 2 while keeping the snare on positions 3 and 4. Again, you might find it useful to practice each direction separately. This will give you the chance to focus on the details. Mind the gap between the kick and the tom hits. It is or should be exactly 1/16th note. Also make sure you pull back your left hand quick enough to hit the snare on position 4. Alternatively, we can play a tom only on position 4. This will give you a leading tone of sorts occurring just before the kick on 1. We can make this more difficult but also more musical by accenting the double time backbeat occurring on position 3. This will create an interesting double time feel groove, which is suitable for a drum solo fill. We can add another rhythmic counter layer by playing the hi-hat part on every other quarter note, giving us the normal time backbeat. We've added a few levels of abstraction, so it is a good idea to write all the layers down when you sit down to practice and keep track of where everything is. Be patient and keep the tempo slow until you can groove with it. This particular variation is very useful because the kick on 1 and the snare on 3 automatically make it into a straight groove, which makes it sound stable and recognizable. Once again, go for smoothness and don't overpower the process. Rather, try to follow the natural trajectories of the pattern. There is, of course, the obvious variation of this pattern, in which we play all 3 hand hits on a given drum. This is what most people would start with, and that's fine, but usually their hands start to entangle at faster tempos because of unintended direction change. What I mean is that if you're about to go left, then the current drum should be right, left, right, and vice versa. Going right should be preceded by a left, right, left. Like we said earlier, if we apply this pattern to the hi-hat and the snare, you get a basic ska pattern. If we, however, keep the sticking as we defined it, it becomes more interesting visually, and people will think you're a badass drummer, or you can just have fun with it and not really care about that too much. You can also branch out to the cymbals and create even more interesting sounds, seemingly scattered around the set, but somehow always revolving around a simple straight beat. So these are what I think the basic variations of this particular pattern. Of course, there are other ones which I didn't cover in this video, but this should be plenty to get you started. You can expand greatly using the different variations in sequence or mix together to form longer lines. Be sure to explore all these and give it time. After a while, patterns like this can become an integral part of your vocabulary and a limitless source for new ideas. Feel free to ask specific questions regarding this exercise in the comment section. Please like and subscribe, that way I will know you want to see more free videos like this one. Thank you for watching drumming.